Welcome back to another edition of DBSN Overtime. I'm JD Lowe.
And I'm Eli Baxter, and we're very ecstatic to have you back in 2025. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yep. So, like usual, we're going to start out with the NFL games, except we're in the postseason now, so we're going to review the wild card games. There's 6 of them. There was 2 on Saturday, starting out with the LA Chargers getting dominated in Houston, Texas. The Houston Texans came out on top, 32-12. In the first wild card game of the season.
Yep, C.J. Stroud, former Buckeye, continues his not rookie, but his young career. He had a good postseason last year, and he carried that into this past wild card matchup game. He had 106 yards thrown on the night and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, but on the other side, Justin Herbert, he struggled. He had 4 interceptions. Not what you want to have in your first playoff game. So Chargers, their season's done. Texans, they'll move on. And then the Steelers and the Ravens, a divisional matchup. The 2 top teams in an AFC division went at it. The Ravens, they went out on top. Steelers, they've struggled recently. They went 0-4 to end the regular season with losses to the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and the Bengals. All 4 great teams, but Mike Tomlin, for Steelers fans, his struggles have continued as he's lost his last 5 playoff games.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them. But on the Ravens side of the ball, the story for Baltimore, Derrick Henry, it was one play in specific, that Lamar Jackson said he looked like Lightning McQueen from Cars on just a great drive for a touchdown. But he ended up running for 186 yards on the night. He had 2 touchdowns.
Yep, that's right. And on the next day, we started out in Buffalo when the Denver Broncos looked like they were going to start out pretty strong after they scored on their first drive, but they ended up getting smoked, 31-7. It was a cold drive home for the Broncos back to Denver. Yeah,
Buffalo and Josh Allen. Josh Allen looks like an MVP still. Buffalo still looks good. Buffalo really the Bills really the only good sports franchise professional in Buffalo right now. So Bills fans happy that they're continuing in the postseason. Yep. And on the next game on Sunday, Green Bay going to another cold place. The Packers, they played the Eagles, and they would fall 22-10.
That's right. Jordan Love, he also struggled, just like Justin Herbert. He threw 3 interceptions. So not the way the Packers fans wanted to see their season end, but they had a good run, looking to have some promise and build up on next year. On the other side of the ball, Jalen Hurts, he had 2 touchdowns, only on 131 yards, but still a great day for him. And then Saquon Barkley, he carried the rock. He had 119 yards on the ground.
Yeah, it was the Eagles running the ball a lot early, so Hurts not with a lot of opportunities to get a lot of passing yards, but ended up 2 touchdowns on the night. It was a good game.
That's right. And then one of the most exciting games of the wild card was Washington Commanders. They came out on top over the Buccaneers 23-20, and it was on a doink field goal to win the game and Commanders were the only away team to win a game in the divisional card. So let's check out that doink field goal.
7 to send Washington to the final 8. The Washington Commanders off the upright, and it is in!
Yeah, what a way to end the game. Probably a nail-biter for all fans there. That was a fun one.
Yep. Jaden Daniels, the rookie, most likely the offensive rookie of the year, is only one of 4 other QBs in NFL history to win an away game as a rookie in the playoffs. So lots to build on for the Commanders, and lots of stuff that the Commanders fans look to be happy on, as they look like they have their franchise quarterback for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah.
They'll face the top seed in the NFC, the Detroit Lions, in the divisional round. And then on Monday, our final game of the wild card was actually played in Glendale, Arizona due to the LA wildfires. It was the LA Rams. They came out on top over the Minnesota Vikings 27-9.
Yeah, that's a big win that, at least me personally, I was a little surprised at the spread on the score differential there. I thought it might be a little bit close. Minnesota was down 3-24 at half, so the Rams only picked up 3 more points, but I mean, still a great first half, and the Rams hope to continue into the rest of the playoffs like that.
Dan Campbell told the Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell in their Week 18 matchup afterwards. He told O'Connell that he was going to see him in 2 weeks, mentioning that he'd see them in the playoffs, and the Rams, they must have used that as motivation as they came out and dominated. So in the next round, we're going to have the Texans and the Chiefs in the AFC Divisional, Commanders versus Lions in the NFC Divisional. Those are our Saturday games. And then on Sunday, we've got the Rams versus the Eagles in the NFC, and the Ravens versus Bills, which might be the biggest game of the divisional round.
Yeah, this is most fun time probably for football fans all around, as the NFL postseason just getting underway and college football playoffs coming to an end soon. And we turn to that as lots of matchups we've had over the past couple of weeks, lots of big matchups. So starting out with Notre Dame, they would end up winning in the first round against the Indiana Hoosiers, 27-17. Then they'd beat the Georgia Bulldogs, a big win, 23-10. In the Sugar Bowl, and in the semifinals they beat Penn State, another huge W, 27-24.
Yep, that was in the Capital One Orange Bowl, and with that win they made their date pretty much with Ohio State Buckeyes in the national championship. For the Buckeyes, they've had a dominant run since their Michigan loss. They beat the number 9 Tennessee Volunteers at home, 42-17, made a big statement there. And then later, probably more of a statement in the Rose Bowl, they knocked off the number 1 seed and undefeated Oregon Ducks, 41-21, after their hot start in the Rose Bowl. And then in the semifinals, they won a close matchup, 28-14 over the Texas Longhorns after Jack Sawyer, the senior, for the Buckeyes, his strip sack that I'm pretty sure was 86 yards. He took it back and scored the game-sealing touchdown for the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. So they'll see each other next Monday at 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN.
Yeah, and the Buckeyes are favorites, come out on top in that game. They as a program have a little bit more star power. They got some better players on their team, but nonetheless, it should be a good game either way. Two good programs.
I agree. So with that, who do you taking for this national champion, the final game of the season?
I got to go Buckeyes, obviously, being a Columbus kid, going for the Ohio State.
I would agree. I think their power on the wide receiver, they have three 5-stars at the wideout. They've got Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, and Carnell Tate. All of them great. If you're not getting one of them, you're finding another one of them. Just like Jeremiah Smith, he got locked down in the Texas game. They had 3 defenders on him, and Emeka Egbuka and Carnell Tate, they both played really well. And Notre Dame, they're known for their man coverage. So Jeremiah Smith said earlier in the season, or earlier before the playoffs, if they're going man coverage, they're going to take a shot. So Notre Dame's going to have to lock down all 3 wide receivers if they want to have a chance. Yeah,
I think Ryan Day and the Buckeyes are going to be they're motivated. They seem motivated recently ever since that last regular season game, the loss to Michigan. I think they have a little bit extra fire inside of them trying to lock down this national championship.
Yep, I think it's helpful with their leaders, Will Howard on the offense and Jack Sawyer on the defense. They both look like they won a national championship.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. And with that, we're going to send it to John for underwater hockey on Worldwide Wacky Sports.
Underwater hockey, or octopush, began in the 1950s in England, created by divers seeking a fun winter fitness activity. Combining hockey and underwater movement, players use short sticks to push a weighted puck along the pool floor. Now played worldwide, it is a fast-paced sport of skill and teamwork beneath the surface.
John, that's quite a mix there. Underwater hockey, I wouldn't expect that. Usually they're on top of the frozen ice, not underneath it. So with that, we're going to send it to college basketball, this week's updates. Starting out, we had a big week. It was number 5 Alabama. They went on the road, and they took on the number 10 Texas A&M Aggies. They came out with a 6-point win, 94-88. And then the number 6 Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the Mississippi State Bulldogs 95-90. Another close matchup in the SEC. And then USC, they pulled off a big upset on the road. They won 82-72 over the number 13 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. And then Georgia, they pulled off an upset at home over the 17-ranked Oklahoma, 72-62. And then Mississippi State, they lost once again on the road. They played Auburn, though, this time. The number 1 ranked team in the country just handled business. 22-point win there for them. The number 21 ranked Ole Miss, they won 74-64 over Alabama on the road. Texas A&M, they lost again. They lost to the number 8 ranked Kentucky, 81-69 on the road. Then Iowa State, they took care of business last night at home against the number 9 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. They won 74-57. And then Tennessee, they did the same. They dominated the number 23 ranked Georgia Bulldogs, 74-56.
Yeah, big games there. And we're going to do a little college basketball picks of the week now. We usually like to do those for football, but as college basketball gets underway, try something out and do some with college basketball too. So start out with Alabama, number 4 Alabama, taking on number 8 Kentucky in Kentucky. Who do you have?
I'm going to take the Crimson Tide here. I know they're usually a football school, but their basketball team has been picking it up lately after that win on the road at College Station. I think they can pull it off here against the Wildcats.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're just a sports school in general. I think they get it done on the basketball side too.
Yep. And then number 1 Auburn heading to Georgia. I have to take the Auburn in this one. Number 1 ranked team. They took care of business the other night, and Georgia they got handled by Tennessee. So I'm gonna go with the Auburn.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Number 1, they're doing really well right now. It's hard to bet them out.
Yep. And then number 17 Purdue. They're heading all the way across the country to play the Oregon Ducks, the new Big Ten team, who's ranked 14th. Who do you have for this one?
I'm gonna have to go with Purdue. Still go with Purdue. I think they're coming off some success last year, and I think they'll continue this year.
I'm gonna have to go with the Ducks on this one. I know they're a home team, so that's a long travel for a team from Indiana, and I think Oregon, they're just gonna have the home court advantage, and they're gonna take the win. And then an Egg Bowl. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are hosting the Ole Miss Rebels. Big rivalry here. Usually Egg Bowl's football, but in basketball, both teams are ranked for the first time in a while. Who do you have for this one?
I'm going to have to go with the Mississippi University, not Mississippi State. Go with Ole Miss there.
All right, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm taking Mississippi State here. They're the home team. I think they're going to get it done. And then Illinois, they're heading to East Lansing. They're going to take on the number 12 ranked Michigan State. I'm going to have to go with the Spartans in this one. They look like a powerhouse right now with Tom Izzo.
Yeah, I agree. I hate to ruin on anything from Michigan, but I think they'll come in on top.
Yeah, I'll agree with this one. And then Tennessee, they're going to host Mississippi State later in the week. Number 6 versus number 15. Who do you have?
I'll go with the home team. I think Tennessee will get it done.
I agree with this one. After their dominant performance at home against Georgia, I think they're going to get it done again. And then Ole Miss, they're going to host Texas A&M. 21 ranked is hosting number 11. Who do you have?
Go with Texas A&M. They're the away team, but I think they have the star power. I think they'll get it done.
I would agree. Ole Miss got 2 big games in a week. I think they'll be a little more tired than usual. I'm going to take the Aggies.
Yeah. And we now transition to NHL news. Big news out of Columbus. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they're still off to a really hot start to the year. Hard to say start to the year now. They're about midway through the season now, and they sit 4 games above 500 on the record at 21-17, and they're on a hot streak right now too. They've just come off a shootout win against the Philadelphia Flyers, 3-2, and they're on a 5-game winning streak, and they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. So Columbus they're pushing for a playoff spot right now. They're in the last wild card spot in the Metropolitan Division. But with how the Metro's looking this year, they look like they could get it done. And the Blue Jackets star blue liner, Zach Werenski, the D, he sits high in the Norris Trophy rankings for the league's best defenseman. He has 50 points in 44 games. So not the Blue Jackets have had troubles with star talent recently. I mean, they've had Patrick Laine, Zach Werenski, players like that who just haven't been producing. But this season, it's turned around, and Werenski's looking like the player everybody thought he could be, and looks like he might get the Norris. And Alex Ovechkin in Washington, he's pushing for Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal record. He's just 21 goals shy. Ovi, he was hurt for a little bit, so it slowed down the pace, but still with over half the season left, and he had 20 goals in the first half of the season, and just has to get one more than that on the second half of the year. So looking like he can get it done. And if he doesn't get it done this season, no, I don't think he's going to retire after the end of the year. So he'll have a little bit more time. So it's looking more like when, not if, he gets it done. So yeah, it's good stuff out of Washington.
Yeah, hopefully the Blue Jackets can get it done after their unfortunate last season. So that'd be great for Columbus fans. Then with that, we're going to send it to This Week in Sports with Alex for Super Bowl I.
This Week in Sports, January 15th. On January 15th, 1967, the first ever World Championship game between the AFL and NFL was played at LA's Memorial Coliseum. This game was the birth of the modern-day Super Bowl. Long before the creation of this game, the NFL and AFL were two separate leagues competing for popularity across America. In the summer of 1966, the two leagues agreed to merge. With the merger came the creation of the AFL-NFL World Championship game, which would see the leagues pit their champion against each other. And in the first rendition of the game, the AFL champion Kansas City Chiefs would play the NFL champion Green Bay Packers. The Packers would win this game handily, 35-10. Packers coach Vince Lombardi, who later became the namesake of the Super Bowl trophy, won his third straight championship. And that is how this legendary game was created.
Thank you, Alex. With the Super Bowl I, we're gonna see Super Bowl in New Orleans here soon. And with that, we're gonna go to the NBA news through the almost near the midway through the season. Not really that close, but we're getting there. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they're sitting on top in the Eastern Conference still, as they are 34-5. Their next matchup is a big one. They're heading down to OKC to take on the Thunder. They beat OKC last week in a big matchup at home. And then the Boston Celtics, they follow them up. They're 28-12. They took a tough loss to the Raptors last night, 110-97. They're going to look to rebound. And then the OKC Thunder, they're number one in the East, West, bless you, JD.
Thank you.
OKC, they're going to host the Cavs next. They just beat the Philadelphia 76ers, 118-102. And then the Houston Rockets, they follow them up, another close proximity. They're 27-12. They've rebounded after a tough season last year. They just beat the Nuggets 128-108. And with that, the week review, some big NBA games this past week. Whereas the Rockets, they pulled off a close win on Thursday over the Grizzlies. Thunder, they dominated the Knicks on Friday with number 3 in the East, the Knicks, taking on the number 1 in the West, the Thunder. The Kings, they beat the Celtics on a little bit of a dry spell. That was Friday. The Bucks, they fell to the Knicks after the Knicks took a tough beating to the Thunder. They did the same to the Bucks at home on Sunday. The Nuggets, they beat the Mavericks 112-101. The Pacers, they upset the Cavs 108-93, which they then played them a couple days later, and the Cavs came out on top. And then the Grizzlies, they fell on the road in a close one, only by 2 to the Rockets on Monday. The Cavs, they then rebounded, like I said, over the Pacers. They won 127-117. The Nuggets, they beat the Mavs 118-99 on Tuesday. And last night, the Rockets, they dominated the Nuggets 128-108. And then the next week, we've got the Cavs and Thunder, like we said. That's on Thursday. Both of them are number 1 in the conference. It's a rematch from last week when the Cavs won 129-122. And then the Hawks and the Knicks on Monday. That's kind of becoming a rivalry game recently after their few playoff meetings recently, plus the NBA Cup playoffs they met. It's going to be a good one. That's in New York at Madison Square Garden. And the Cavs, they're back on the road. They're taking on the number 3 in the West, the Houston Rockets. The second in the West, Houston Rockets on Wednesday. So they're gonna have a tough schedule here next week, looking to hopefully get two big wins. Both teams are top 5 in the NBA too. And with that, we're gonna go to the PGA.
Yeah, as the 2025 year, the calendar year gets underway, that also means a new year for the PGA. And I hate to try to butcher this name, Hideki Matsuyama. but he won the year's opening tournament in the PGA, the Century. And the Sony Open in Hawaii also taking place. And Nick Taylor won his third playoff of his career. And Nico, all these golf names sometimes difficult to pronounce. Yeah, that's right. He was under 16 under par through 4 rounds.
Yep, he lost to Nick Taylor in that Sony Open playoff, but you did nail Hideki Matsuyama. That was great. Both Nick Taylor and Nico, they were batting late, but Nick Taylor, he's been a prime in his playoff career. First win in the RBC Canadian as a Canadian a couple years ago against Tommy Fleetwood. He's looking to be a scary opponent coming up in this next season. It'll be exciting to watch. And with that, another golf, we've got TGL, new golf league created by Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods. This was our second matchup we had was this week on Tuesday when Jupiter Lynx, they got beat by LAGC 12-1. It was not a great showing for them. Another one last week was when the Bay, they beat New York GC 9-2. So not very close matchups, but it was kind of more power on one side there. So it'll be an exciting one. And then a funny clip from our last one when Jupiter Lynx, Kevin Kisner, was in the bunker. He kind of scolded his bunker shot, and it was had both teams laughing. So take a look at that.
For those looking for the start of Miami and Duke, it's currently airing on ESPN News. I apologize that.
It was great to see Tiger back in action too. He was laughing about that one. And then their next one is next week when New York Golf Club, they look to rebound, and as they take on the Atlanta Drive, who have not yet played a match.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff in the golf world right now. So thank you for all that, Eli. And now we'll transition to Ian with another edition of Ohio Sports Roundup.
Thanks, guys. This week in Ohio sports, we got the Columbus Blue Jackets hosting the San Jose Sharks tonight at 7. Then, on Saturday, the Jackets head up to New York to take on the Rangers, also at 7. Tonight at 7:30, the 34-5 Cleveland Cavs head down to Oklahoma City to face the Thunder in a massive showdown. On Saturday, the Cavs will then head to Minnesota to face the Timberwolves at 9. Tomorrow night at 8, the Ohio State men's basketball team plays the Indiana Hoosiers on Fox. Meanwhile, the undefeated Ohio State women's basketball team takes on Wisconsin away tonight at 9. They then play on Sunday against Penn State in Happy Valley. This coming Monday, the Ohio State football team will take on Notre Dame in the national championship in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The game is at 7:30 on ESPN. That's it for this week's Ohio Sports Roundup. This has been Ian Miller, and now let's send it back to Eli and JD.
Ian, and with that, we're going to close our show, our first one of 2025, and our 10th episode of DBSN Overtime. We'll see you back next week. I'm Eli Baxter.
And I'm JD Lope, and thank you for watching.